Hey everybody, I picked up garbage every day for 4 weeks in Seattle, and here's what I learned. So I do these challenges every once in a while that I refer to as a 4-week challenge, where I'll take a task or something that I want to improve and I'll do it every day for 4 weeks. So some examples that I've done in the past is eat vegan every day for 4 weeks, or ride my bike to work every day for 4 weeks, those kinds of things. My favorite one so far that I've done is pick up garbage every day for 4 weeks. I live in Seattle and I work in the Ballard industrial area, and there's a lot of garbage that's kind of surrounding my place of work. There's just a ton of garbage everywhere. It's really bad. And I found that quite frustrating. And so I decided to go clean up for 15 minutes every day for 4 weeks. What I was surprised to find out is that it only took 10 or 15 minutes to fill a kitchen-sized garbage bag at first. But as time went on, it became a lot more difficult. So I changed the challenge from cleaning for 15 minutes every day to filling a kitchen-sized garbage bag every day. And it got to a point where that took about 40 minutes, maybe sometimes up to an hour or so. What was happening is the immediate area around my shop was actually surprisingly quite clean. There was not a lot of garbage to find. So it turned into me just looking for garbage around the area and kind of playing damage control. I noticed specifically whenever there was a windstorm, then the next day there was always a lot more garbage to be found. So those were the days where I would fill a garbage bag quite easily, and then other days there wasn't really much garbage at all, eventually. The area that I was cleaning up around work was a pretty well-defined area. It's about a 2-block radius all the way around work. So by the time I was done with this challenge, I realized that I had a pretty well-defined land area that I was able to keep clean, and I can figure out my average amount of time spent cleaning and use that information to figure out the amount of work hours it takes annually or monthly or whatever to keep a given amount of area clean. So I used that information to figure out how much time Seattle residents would have to clean in order to keep the entire land area of Seattle as clean as I was able to keep my immediate area. So I was really surprised to find out that if only 10% of the Seattle population were to clean for just over 1 hour per year, they would be just as effective at cleaning the entire city as I was able to clean my immediate area. And that number seems really small to me. So the reason that I chose 10% of the population is I wanted a really conservative number. Because obviously not everybody in the population of Seattle is in the right physical health to be able to go out and clean routinely. So I figured 10% of the population is a pretty good conservative estimate. So the reason I'm telling you this story is I'm challenging the residents of Seattle to go out and clean up for an hour or so every year. In fact, I actually think 2 hours a year is a pretty reasonable thing to do for 10% of the population. Even better would be to choose to do it for 30 minutes every quarter, because I can imagine that if everybody just chose to clean up once a year, then everyone would probably do it in the nicer seasons, maybe the spring or the summer. But if you set aside 30 minutes every season to go clean up, then I think it would be pretty evenly distributed throughout the year. And I think when we look at it that way, 30 minutes every season for 10% of the population to clean up, it's actually a very manageable problem. It's very surprising. And I didn't expect that. Some of the common challenges that I get when I talk about this idea of the population of Seattle cleaning up is that there's a certain amount of danger involved. Specifically, there's a lot of needles to be found. There's, glass, sharp objects and stuff. So of course I would wear really heavy gloves. I found some heavy rubber gloves that I would wear in order to pick up. The other thing that I did to make sure that I was safe is to live by the policy of if you don't know what it is, then don't pick it up. Meaning, if you're in a really fast pace and you're kind of just picking stuff up and throwing it in the bag, it's easy to grab stuff before you know exactly what it is. So I would make sure that if I didn't exactly know what something is, before I pick it up, I'd stop and figure out what it is. And that way you can easily identify, oh, this might be a piece of glass, or this might be something sharp. Maybe there's a needle under that piece of cardboard or something. You just really just have to pay attention, and I didn't have any issues at all in the month that I did this. The other thing is that I didn't pick up needles at all. If I saw quite a few, I'd see maybe one a day, every other day, a few a week at least, and I would never pick them up. I think to dispose of those, you should have a sharps container. I didn't want to just throw them in with the rest of the garbage. I thought they should probably be in a sharps container, which I didn't have. And I'm sure there's a way to get sharps containers. There's probably a source for them, and then a way to properly dispose of them once they fill up. Maybe if anybody knows how to do that or knows any more information on that, you could let me know. So that information is just based on what I found in Seattle. So I challenge anybody who's watching this from another city to figure this out for themselves and figure out how long 10% of your population would need to spend in order to keep the city clean. I think maybe you'll be just as surprised as I was.